30 years as head coach for Kennesaw State baseball, multiple national championships, the man that built where we are today. Mike Sansing calls it a career after 30 years, and it is our pleasure here at the Owl Network to have an opportunity to sit down here with Coach Sansing. Coach, you've had some time to reflect upon your career. 30 years, you took the Owls from the NAIA ranks all the way to Division I to a super regional, over 1,000 wins. I mean, we could be here all weekend talking about all of your wins and all of your highlights, but I'll start out with this. Over the past time since you made the announcement of your retirement, what have you reflected on, and what has it meant to you for the people that have reached out with what you meant to them?
Yeah, there's been a bunch of conversation, a bunch of phone calls from players, staff here at the university, friends, and it's. But when the players call and they tell you, how much they appreciate things. Interesting to hear what they appreciated. Whether it was the baseball part, whether it was some personal things. So great to hear from them. Glad that you made an impact.
And this decision after 30 years, was it a difficult one? Did you feel like it was time? What went into your decision to retire?
I mean, a lot of things went into it. I feel like, at some point this had to go, right? I'm not going to stay on for ever. I want to enjoy some time. I mentioned earlier, sometimes the shelf life is, at some point, you got to move on. And so it was a difficult decision. It was one, that we as a family discussed, kind of mapped it out, and it was thought about very heavily. And as I said before, this year with the COVID, having to drive to games, drive back, kind of gave you time to think, and probably more time than I should have had instead of being on the bus. But it gave me time to think, and I'm very comfortable with the decision.
And how about this year's team? You mentioned you're able to come back from the pandemic, put together a full season with plenty of highlights. History was made. We had the most all-conference performers to been in the A-Sun. You had outstanding pitching staff, home runs aplenty, Norman, Carballo, Haji out there. It was a lot of fun this year. What did this year mean to you?
Yeah, it was, it was a very good team. It was every day was appreciated from the coaches, from the players. And when I say appreciated, based on the COVID the previous year, I think everybody got a wake-up call. And hey, our careers are, can slip by without us realizing it. And so I think they had a purpose to come out. We had some great leadership. You mentioned some of Carballo and Norman and Haji. Those were guys who came back and played here for the extra year, the COVID year. So there was a lot of excitement. There was some really good wins this season. Some great individual performances with pitchers of the week and players of the week. So I think we did do a very good job in this season, coming off what everybody had experienced last year.
Sure. Now, Coach, I want you to go back to the start of your 30-year career as the head coach for Kennesaw State baseball, back in fall of 1991. What drew you to Kennesaw State?
Yeah, I was at Shorter College in Rome. At that time, Shorter, Kennesaw State, Barry, we were all in the same conference, the NAIA conference. And so we were able to play Kennesaw. I saw what was going on here in terms of the growth, the new program that they were here. When I had a chance to come here, Dr. Waples and Scott Whitlock were the two, really the guys that called me and discussed this job. And a lot of it was based on what we thought the future would be. We knew NAIA days were coming to an end. You know, that was the plan, was to go Division II. That was a great plan for me, you know, because I was in an NAIA. I was interested in moving up to the next level, and so that was kind of the layout, the Division II. I thought this was an outstanding recruiting area, as it still is. Mm-hmm. Baseball's huge in this area, in Cobb County and the East Cobb, the summer programs that go on. So, and a lot of that was just getting developed too in the 90s. It wasn't, you know, there wasn't as many schools in Cobb County as there is now. East Cobb was, you know, searching for fields to play. They didn't have their facility at that time. So I just saw all these things, and I saw a great opportunity.
Well, in 1994, you won an NAIA national championship. Looking back at that season, what memories do you have? What stands out?
Yeah, I think anytime your first time through, I was very naive. You know, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen the next day. I didn't know what I should do as a coach. Just didn't have an idea of what was going on. Fortunately, what I did know is we had some great players, mm-hmm. and we let them play. We get to the NAIA World Series, and you know they just continue to play well. And you know, I didn't do a whole lot. I always kid. You know, some days I had to make a decision if it was a Diet Coke or a regular Coke. You know, when these guys were playing, it just wasn't much that I had to do, and so that was a tremendous time, notoriety in our program to win a national championship for sure.
Well, that helped propel you to the Division II ranks, won a national championship in 1996. Was that transition from the NAIA to D2 difficult? Was it simple going from national championship a couple years later and doing it again? What was that transition like?
A lot of the guys that were coming in that span were coming in because of the Division II, the transfer to Division II. Mm-hmm. They wanted that to be able to play at that level. I would tell you it wasn't easy, but it was not very difficult because of the group of players that we had. It was an easier transition from NAI to Division II. And as we started in Division II, we had some very, very good success. Program of the decade. So it was 95 through 99. You know, it was a very successful run in the 90s with 4 straight World Series appearances.
1998 went 27-1.
Yeah. In
the Peach Belt. Your team went 61-5 to reach the Division II World Series. 61-5. That's one of the most mind-blowing highlights of your career that I have right here, of how your team was able to have that much success. Only 1 loss in conference play. What made that team special?
I mean, we just had really some great players, and I always say, I mean, those guys would feed off the previous team. So the recruits that we got in 97 and 98, they were all about that 96 national championship. They wanted a part of that. The 96 guys were all about the 94 guys, winning it. So it was an unbelievable year. To have that conference record, to have that overall record. I mean, you're right. You don't see that, winning percentage of games very often in any sport, mm-hmm. But especially in a team sport like that, and playing in a really good conference. The Peach Belt Conference is legit, and it wasn't like, it was just bad teams. They were good teams, but we were just better.
And Coach, we had all the success at Kennesaw State in baseball, and across the hallway, Scott Whitlock with Kennesaw State softball was out there winning national championships, accumulating 50, 60 win seasons as well. And when Coach Whitlock announced his retirement, back in December of 2020. I had a chance to sit down with him, and he said you're the best coach that he's ever been around, and how working across the hall and having that level of expectation success helped drive him. For you, in the heyday there back in the 90s and the 2000s and winning championships, what was your relationship like with Coach Whitlock, and how did that help you with your success?
Yeah, I mean, he and I have been very, very good friends from the beginning. I mentioned, you know, I'm here because of him and Dr. Dave Waples. As we know, softball won 2 national championships in that same span. Theirs were 95 and 96, ours was 94, 96. So there was a lot of winning going on, and a lot of camaraderie between teams, you know, coaches. I felt like, you know, the relationship that he and I had was personal and professional. You know, we got along great. We worked together to get the Bobby Bailey building that we're in today. The facilities were lit by Fred Stilwell. You know, he didn't, Fred just came in and said, hey, I want to help, I want to do something, and it was like, okay, let's light the fields, and he did that. So those are the kind of group projects that we worked on together. And again, we had awful lot of success in both, but the friendship part of it, you know, of course, he keep you laughing, you know, and whatever the situation was, you'd go over there and get a good laugh. And so I appreciate our friendship.
Well, you and Coach Whitlock helped bring Kennesaw State from the D2 to the Division I ranks. So again, Coach, you went from NAI to D2 and then D2 to D1. What was the transition like for you in baseball going from D2 to D1?
Yeah, a little more difficult. Really the fact that we had to go through the reclassification period without any postseason. That was the most difficult stretch that we had. And you know, that was an NCAA rule, and we were still, you know, I think very competitive during that time. And when you go out recruiting and you tell a kid, hey, when the season's over on you know, May 15th, it's over. You know, there is no postseason. So that was a challenge, but I'm very appreciative of the guys who came here understanding that. You know, that they weren't going to postseason, but they still wanted to be a part of this program. They wanted to play at the highest level, and we did give them that opportunity. We played, I think, a very, very good schedule over our career here. But that was probably the most difficult, is not being able to go to postseason with some pretty good players and some very good teams.
Well, Coach, one year that we know you went to the postseason, 2014, won the Tallahassee Regional, played in the Super Regionals. Some people may not know it wasn't all a season of highlights to start out. Going back to April 5th of the 2014 season, Kennesaw State was 14-20 and 2-9 in the ASUN. What flipped the switch? What changed?
I don't know if there's anything you can pinpoint. I remember the series here against North Florida that kind of got us going a little bit. There was nothing particular that I can really say. I would tell you we had a really good team that for some reason it just wasn't going, and then all of a sudden it happens, you know. And I think we see it at every level, and we see it both ways. We see a team that could have been 25-10, and all of a sudden they go 5-15. And I think that's sports. Trying to understand it gives you gray hair. So there, you know, you just try to go out, prepare, do everything the right way, and you know, you hope that it can turn. You know, you don't want to put all your thoughts in hope, but you do think if you're doing it the right way, things will eventually turn for you. And they did. You know, the guys got it, and man, they rolled that second half.
16-game winning streak, won the ASUN tournament, went down to Tallahassee, and you had victories against Alabama and Georgia Southern. What moments do you remember from down in Tallahassee?
Oh, gosh, probably, the opening day, Travis Bergen pitching, who's now in the big leagues. Max Pentecost, just his play. I remember more, I guess, individual stuff that happened during the series. I think, as I mentioned earlier, being naive again. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to a press conference, and I don't know what they're going to say and different things. So there's just so many memories when you are there. The bus rides. Some of the best times in baseball are the bus rides. Some of the worst times in baseball are the bus rides. So, but when you're winning and having a great tournament, so forth, there's just a ton of good memories that happened.
Team came back, won it on a Monday, lost
Yeah.
to Alabama on a Sunday night. What'd you tell the Owls after that loss to the
Yeah,
Tide?
I think somebody in the dugout said, we're okay. I remember Brendan Morgan was one that's like, well, hey, yeah, we've won a bunch of games. Yeah, we lost this one, but we'll be back tomorrow. And I remember him specifically, talking about that. And, again, that was our mindset. I think the fact that we had so much success in that second half, it wasn't a deterrent. It was just, hey, there's another step we got to go. But we felt good going into the final game.
Where does that Gatorade Bath after the victory rank in all the ones you've had?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Tallahassee's hot, and to have that was good. I think as you look back on there, we gave out the belt, which was a wrestling belt that we gave out to whomever, a play that happened, a guy who had a great game. A staff member, a coach, or whomever. So that was something I do remember is the pride that the guys had in getting that belt. I mean, they wanted it. It was a legit, wrestling belt. It wasn't one from you go to the gas station and buy. This thing was legit. So I remember us passing that around and the pride that the guys had. And as I look at games now and football and baseball and basketball, whatever, and you see a lot of stuff that people are handing out, and I don't know if they did it before us, but we're going to claim they didn't. And that was a great start. As I see, our team doing stuff in football, I see other teams in baseball doing things now. So I felt like that 14 team kind of initiated that special award.
Well, sorry, Miami and the turnover chain. You don't get first dibs. Started 2014 for KSU baseball. Coach, on that 14 team, you had the Johnny Bench Award winner, Max Pentecost. He was drafted in the hotel in the Louisville Super Regionals up in Louisville, Kentucky. Had an outstanding career, obviously winning the top catcher award in college baseball. What kind of player was Max Pentecost?
Complete player, could run, could throw, hit for power. I mean, as you look at a five-tool guy, which that's as a scout, that's what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. He possessed those. And the fact that Max came to school, man, were we thankful. Because we did not think that he was coming. But he had all the tools that you look for from a major leaguer, and that's why he was so successful.
One of 69 MLB draft selections that you've been able to mentor and develop and coach. What kind of feelings do you get when one of your Owls gets the phone call and gets their name called?
Oh, a great feeling. I know everybody has that dream, right? I mean, if you ask every player, all 35 on your roster or whatever, they want to play professional ball. Mm-hmm. We know the opportunities are slim for that, but that's their goal. and we want to help that goal. And when I see somebody achieve that, knowing what they did to get there, knowing the work, knowing the weight room, knowing the practice, I'm just proud for them. I'm excited for them. I call them. I recently talked to Willie Harris. He was the third base coach for the Cubs. Willie had a great career in professional sports, World Series. But when he got the third base coach, I texted him. I said, "Hey man, congrats." We talked for a little bit, and he said, "You got any advice?" I said, "Yeah, send them every time. just send them." I want to get down and see him, but it's just great seeing the guys get their dreams, achieve them.
Well, Coach, you obviously played a big role in them getting to their dreams. They got to do so here at Stilwell Stadium. And recently we lost the Sheikh, Fred Stilwell. And what was your relationship like with Mr. Stilwell? And if you had the opportunity to converse them after your retirement, what do you think y'all would talk about?
Yeah, we had a great relationship. It was very, very close relationship. I have so many stories and memories, and I think we're thankful at this campus for what he did. It wasn't just Stilwell Stadium. There's Stilwell Theater. There's things that he did besides sports. He loved the university. I would visit him over the last 5 years. He was pretty much at his house, but would go in and see him. Great family. I always tell, I have so many stories on the guy, but this is one I'll tell because he loved to tell it. So I interview here in '92, I guess summer of '91, and there's probably 5 people on the committee, very small at the time. And so I get the call from Dr. Waples, "Hey, this is your job." And so I'm great. So I come in and go through the fall practice. And Fred was new to the athletic department at that point. I think he came around in '90 and started, watching some baseball. But so they had him on the committee. So Fred and I get a bond very quickly. And so we go to lunch and we'll play golf and we'll do some different things. And he said to me one day, "You only got 4.5 votes." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, there was 5 of us. I gave you a half and I gave the other guy a half." Well, I appreciate, And so for a couple of years, he'd say, "Yep, there's Coach Sansing, get 4.5 votes to be our coach." So I had to listen to it, for a while. So I think it was around 95, 96, we have the Hall of Fame. Start the Hall of Fame here. And I'm on the committee. And at the time, I believe the first class was like Dr. Siegel, Roger Hopkins, administrators, and Fred Stilwell's name's on there. We go around the room, vote. Gets to me, half a vote. What? Half a vote for Stilwell. Okay. So he gets 4.5. So Dr. Waples says, "Well, who wants to call and tell him that he's in the Hall of Fame?" I raise my hand. I want to tell him. So I call him up. "Hey, Fred, congratulations." What's up? I said, "You got in the Hall of Fame." He says, "I did." I go, "Yeah, 4.5 votes." Silence. He says, "That'll be the last time either one of us talk about that." Thank you. So, yeah, but great memories, great family. He did a lot for me personally. He did a lot for this program and the university. So, yeah, his passing was sad for me, but he lived a fabulous life.
Well, Coach, your career has been about relationships and family. within Kennesaw State baseball and those you've impacted in the Kennesaw State community. What's next for you? How does family play into the next steps for Coach Sansing?
Yeah, we'll, I got 2 grandkids now. Took the granddaughter to dance, last Saturday. So I'm just hanging out, doing some things. I'm still around here, I've helped some in the transition if needed. If not, nothing solid. My wife's got a couple cruises planned, and but more or less, not a whole lot of change in my day to day. I hope to, stay active in terms of just coming out and watching, the guys, seeing football games. I'm excited about that. So that's not a plan. Somebody told me that's not good not to have a plan, and I said, well, I don't have one, but I will. There'll be things that come up that'll say, yeah, let's do it, and so that's where I am with it. Other than that, just hanging out.
Coach, is there anything that you'd like to say here with an open mic to current, former players, staff, members of the KS community, anything?
Yeah, no, I appreciate my time here. I've loved it. As I tell our players, I'm appreciative of them believing in KSU. That's the bottom line of the success and the fun we've had is because they believed in this program. There's been a lot of supporters, family, everybody in my family who's been great supporters of this university. But when it comes down to it, I've always said great players make good coaches, and that's what we've had. But more than anything, just thankful for people's support, and again, believing in what was going to happen. Because as you looked at it 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you don't know. You don't know how it's going to, pan out. But that would be it. Some great relationships, great people here at the university. Seeing a lot of growth, a lot of change here. But I've always loved the university, loved working here, loved the staff, the faculty. Been very supportive of baseball and the faculty here. So I just throw out a blanket thank you to everybody. And but again, it comes down to the players and what they've been able to do. Not only as players here, but as their careers have developed. That's been I'm thankful to see that. I'm thankful when they come back with their families. To see one of our former players was here over the weekend. Sent me a picture he'd take with his son out here on the field. Stuff like that's pretty cool. But that's it. Appreciate everybody.
Coach Sansing, we appreciate you. Congratulations on a Hall of Fame career, Hall of Fame person. Enjoy retirement, Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.